morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Book Talkies. The book that we are going to talk about today is called The Art of Thinking Clearly. It is written by Rolf Dobelli. I believe he's Swiss-based or Germany-based. But the name sounds somehow a Swiss-based guy, but yeah, we'll get to know more about it. I would say you would be fooled when you look at the cover of the book. It's a very simple cover, probably a golden circle, and the art of thinking clearly is written at the center of the circle. So my perception of this book when I started my research was it will help me declutter my mind, prioritize my work, and make me more productive. But ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a very big surprise. And this is a kind of book which is slightly controversial, and that's where you need a friend to converse with. Luckily, I got in touch with a really dear friend of mine after almost a decade, and he has been very kind enough to accept my invitation to be on the podcast. So, without any further ado, let me introduce my dear friend Nachiket, who is also based in Germany. And so, Nachiket, welcome to the Book Talkies.
Thanks for having me, Kaustubh. It's my pleasure to be here.
And mate, you have suggested a very unique book. So thank you for that. Yeah. I think before we go to the book, Nachiket, I know you personally, but our audience doesn't know you. So maybe could you just just the way we go for an interview, right? Please introduce yourself, Nachiket.
For sure. Thanks. Yes, I am from India, and since last 8 years, I've moved to Germany. My overall growth progress have been a little bit in a different way. So I studied mechanical engineering and then moved to IT, and now a little bit into the finance area. And within all these years, I tried to do many versatile things. So my mind was always clustered with many things. I wanted to do sports. So I picked up basketball and I was doing swimming. There's a lot. I contributed in a band which I formed at organizational level or in the colleges.
Yeah, I remember.
Guitar there. So there were so many things. And if I have to reflect back within the last 10, 15 years, there is a lot of mess that I did, because I wanted to have all my fingers in different areas: sports, music, reading, charisma, or everything, parenting, all these things. And since last 6 years, now I have 2 kids. So the priorities change a little bit.
Fantastic. I would want to bring back the book that you asked, that you suggested to do this episode on, The Art of Thinking Clearly. I would really want to know, how did you get to know about this book? I mean, through recommendations, and I mean, at certain stages, you generally pick up certain books, right? At certain life stages or certain instances. For example, I can tell you, the reason I picked up Atomic Habits was I wanted to start meditating, and I wanted to make it as a habit, and that's why I thought, okay, I need a habit-oriented book, and that's why it just helped me tremendously. My question would be, what was the influence behind it, and why did you pick this book up?
This book was a recommendation to me from a friend of mine during our MBA days in Mannheim Business School, and we both also used to share a lot about the psychological platforms. So when we were discussing about these things, about which book has helped you more and more, and then we both were also into the sports activities. So he's much more into the triathlon things, but I just also wanted to see, dude, I also want to try to do this. How do you manage to do all these things? And I felt this person is so sorted. I mean, he's an entrepreneur. He has his own company. He's not even like a job, 8-hour job. And still, yet he's able to do all these things. And I used to always feel this. So he recommended, try reading this book. And this book is more of a mental clarity. So people who might have clear milestones and goals, but they are not sure how do they want to approach it? So that's why, this Thinking Clearly quote or the book name is about the mental clarity. So a lot of people talk about the importance of a positive mindset. But, for this, I believe that clear mindset is also a key to success, because the journey is more important than the destination. So you need to have that clear mindset also. And so much of our brain space gets wind up when you're not sure who we are and what we want. Mental clarity is the best thing to bring certainty. And this is where this topic also influenced me. And as you also mentioned in the beginning of this podcast, this book is no self-help. You won't see motivation thing, take proper step by step. You won't do that. After reading and understanding, you would know the way you think and the way you do certain things. So this book will just make you or give you some good examples how not to think very irrationally. And
to think very irrationally. Okay, not to think. Okay,
not to think. That's why I know, as we were saying, it's not a very positive approach, but it's a negative of a negative. So we are already on the negative path, but how you can avoid that negative part. So in a way, it, of course, in line, when you read between the lines, it gives you a really positive message. How can you make your day better?
Yeah.
All those things. But clearly,
with that, I mean, I see that. I mean, the way Rolf has written this book is very interesting. 2-3 pager per chapter. Number of chapters is huge, but there are just 2 pages or 2 to 3 pages per chapter, right?
Yes.
I've never heard of such like very precise, very concise chapter division for a book per se.
Yeah. That's the beauty of this. That's why it's one of my books that I will always keep in my at least work bag or my vacation bag, because wherever you are, you just open this book anywhere and you are in that chapter independent to any other chapters. You don't need to have any background or nothing. 3 pages, 5 minutes, not even more. And the way the author has put examples and illustrations, they are at times so hilarious as well that it is very exciting to read more and more and to understand, and then to even reflect. It's like, oh my God, I really do all these things. I don't even see. They're so small things. They may not have a major or huge impact, but as we do these things daily, they might have.
Nachiket, mind if I ask you the certain examples which you maybe have followed or have seen in the book, and maybe you also would have done in the past or have noticed that in the past?
Oh, definitely. I mean, amongst these 99, what the author has mentioned, there are so many that are still being followed. But now the first one that comes to my mind is the social proof bias.
Okay.
And to cite an example is, let's say if you're going to a music concert, and as the way you're walking to the concert, you see 10 to 12 people standing and looking up in the sky. The first thing that happens to us is we stop and we also start looking up in the sky.
Obviously.
Social behavior bias. Okay. Next step. We'll come to the outcome and everything later. Second step. You are inside the concert. The guitarist or any musician expert starts his solo, and one person in the audience starts clapping. Entire audience starts clapping.
Yeah.
Social proof bias. After the program, you come outside to take your coat, and in the queue, as you're standing, you see every person in front of you keeping €1 coin while taking up the coat. What happens is you also take out €1 and give it to him, although it's not mentioned anywhere, but you do it. Social proof bias. So, I mean, thousands of years ago, while hunting, this was very important for human. That man or human in that age could not think, it's a lion, perhaps high protein. No, he was a social behavior. He had to run away. And we are direct heirs of those who copied others' behavior. We are directly descendants from that here. So that social proof is into the blood and generation descendants every time. So the social proof is something that we unnoticeably tend to follow. I mean, now the way author says is not only negative. Sometimes it is also very helpful. Like if you are in a new city and you are hungry. And you are in the market area, you don't know where to eat. What happens is you look to the restaurants, and one which is a little bit crowded, you go there. Highly likely the food is much better, And in short, you copy the locals' behavior. That you're copying their behavior. Even the comedy and talk show, they make use of this canned laughter to incite the audience to laugh, to make them laugh more. So it's a social proof. Advertising industry, they benefit super duper from the weakness of social proof behavior of a human. And there are so many things that we can see in our daily life. And Rolf, at the end of this chapter, also says, to overcome this, try to be skeptic. Question: if the company says its product is better, try to question how.
Okay.
And remember, if 50 million people say something foolish, it is still foolish.
Actually, right.
So this social thing, social proofing, what happens is that little bit correlates to another books where, say, Daniel Kahneman, he has written in his book, Thinking Fast and Slow. Your fast brain is really fast and it helps you make comfortable decisions. What Daniel Kahneman also says, use your cognitive mind also to ask the questions. But our body, when it uses the cognitive brain, it consumes more energy, and we tend not to use a lot of energy. And these topics, also what Rolf Dobelli mentioned, are making your cognitive mind question, which might help you make better decisions. So that's just one of them. But there are so many such examples that he has given beautifully in the book.
Super.
Have you make a decision?
Has it happened to you that you have started noticing these biases or these foolish activities that we generally do, and you have started rectifying yourself by any chance? Has it happened to you?
I've started at least in a way of. I clearly remember about the digital things. As an example, when you see people being totally into, say, iPads and having these gadgets sitting outside in say cafes, and I was really asking the question to myself, do I really need one when I go outside? Do I need a screen and everything? So socially people do all these things, have, say, fancy watch. I did this, but I am so much tied to it. I also sometimes cannot ignore this, and I fall prey to it. Like even I have a digital watch to do all these things, but do I really need it? Maybe no. I used to have a phone. I used to put it on my arm, and even before I didn't have that. All I need to do for running is just run around. But
just run.
All these things, yes. But with this social proof, and then you see some of your friends are doing this, and you also want to do it. But I feel, asking this question, it has helped me. Sometimes it does help me during when we go out for shopping and we want to buy some, say, new house, beautiful furniture. No, it helps to take a step back. What I did is not exactly asking the question, but one of the rule I kind of made for myself is, if I want to buy something, and I feel if I see really a thing which is, say, more than 200 euros, I will not buy it today.
Okay.
I will look for it tomorrow, because today I'm super energetic. Maybe I will go for it, but I will just wait a day, over the night, That's why I say you sleep with it.
Yeah.
If it's the same next day, it's a good decision. But if not, so although I am attracted to all these things, I'm not able to control. But I took another step on it. How I could try to avoid, at least on the shopping area.
In your work, Nachiket, in your work, anything. So I'm prey to my to-do lists. Okay. Almost 100% of the time, I have never completed 100% of my to-do list for the day.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, I have never completed it. Have you faced that? Have you faced such a challenge by any chance? And is something like that relevant, pointed out in the book?
Absolutely, it is so relevant. And Rolf has written a chapter only for you, Kaustubh, which is called as a planning fallacy. The planning fallacy, it describes our tendency to underestimate the amount of time it will take to complete the task, as well as the cost and the risks associated, be it for anything. So in the book, I think he has mentioned an example of the Sydney Opera, which was estimated to be done within $7 million and within the period of 7 years. But it took 20 years to be built, and instead of 7 million, it shooted up to 100 millions. The cost. So that is about the planning fallacy that everyone, we fall prey to it. I mean, I would love to speak about what is a kind of a thing that you should do about the planning. But I would say, read through the book. It will give you much more hilarious examples and give you at least a direction what you can do better in your planning thing.
I hope so. I mean, I believe with the tricks or with the techniques that I know, that quadrant technique, focus on important and urgent activities, and map it with the Pomodoro technique. I don't know if you know about Pomodoro, like 25 minutes focused work, 5 minutes break, then 25 minutes focused work, 5 minutes break. And then, break down your activities into blocks. I mean, I've tried everything, but somehow nothing is sticking. So probably it's very important that I'll just pick up that chapter of the book and I'll read that. Great. I wanted to know if there is something like that in the book.
I mean, the other chapters also, maybe they follow in a sequence, I don't remember, but as you fall prey to a planning deficit, some other way, it has some repercussions in your, what he calls as a sunk cost fallacy. Also in your professional work environment. Many times, or sometimes, I wouldn't say, be optimistic. Sometimes only a project has started and you see it ain't meeting the targets, the goals. It is not meeting it, but the time spent, money spent, the resources spent, everything is put up a lot. But it is not meeting up. The company or the organization still goes on with it, even though if it won't give you now the expected behavior. It is a sunk cost policy. It is something where you have to try to put up a stop somewhere. So these are some things, that correlate to what happens. Planning, sunk cost, and the decisions. We sometimes tend to follow someone who has been highly successful, but we do not see the progress that the person has made. We have no idea about what the person has done in the background. Sometimes there is a luck factor also. So these are such hilariously covered illustrations, also giving example of monkeys, of what happens if monkeys are asked to invest in a share market. It's a decision based fallacy, which I would also give a little bit, how to say, an example about, so that might help you in reading through the chapter is, let's say 1 million monkeys are asked to invest in a stock. So they all invest, 50% make loss, 50% make profit within a week. So in 1 week, the 50% who make profit are asked to do it again. So again, 50% move out and 50% go ahead. After 10 weeks, say only 1,000 are remaining. The process still goes on, and after 10 more weeks, only one remains. And he's a billionaire, this monkey, because he has made profit since the first time. At the end, what happens is, now the media comes, and media says, maybe there is something different with this monkey. Maybe he's banana in a different way, or maybe he sits in a different side of a cage. We have no idea, and we just should not look at the final result and start to do analysis about that monkey only. We have no idea if there are some certain factors which you have no control about. You should think about it. So what and how you should look about it is in one of the chapters, which I would definitely say that we should see, because it is very core. It is very relevant to us. Be it looking at a CEO of, say, Google, what a successful person. We are looking only at the outcome. But what about the journey? Or what about the journey of millions of people who tried to be the similar entrepreneur, or maybe some different entrepreneur? Visit the cemeteries. We should be at the cemeteries. There are so many stories which are so similar to other successful stories. I'm mixing up. I'm giving you hints about all different chapters, and these things will just help you make more clear decision. I mean, it is not easy for anyone to right away step into a new age where saying, okay, from tomorrow I'm not going to watch any news. No newspaper, no pop-ups on your phone, no watching TV for news. It might be difficult for one person, but if you just think, when was the last time when a certain news that came to you, it could be about, maybe it was about some attacks in some part of the world or something that happened, but that news has helped you in making a decision. So the author or the people who have studied this, they asked thousands and thousands of people, asking them in the last 2 years, they might have received 10,000 news notification. How many of these have helped you making a cognitive good decision for your daily life? Hardly few could say 1 or 2 news were helpful for them making a decision. And Rolf Dobelli himself, he said, for 3 years, I did not watch any news, no news at all, and it had no impact on me, nothing. So news was a kind of a product that was created few centuries ago by us, and it's not really so much positive. I mean, the way he said, I got really influenced with him. And if news would have been really so much important, the journalists would have been at the top of the pyramid. But actually, it's not the case. Journalists are not super at the top, but in fact, they are at the bottom. They are not super paid or super rich people, you know. So that way, when someone is putting up facts and numbers, it instigates you to think more and more about it.
One of the last questions, and you mentioned that in your statement. Do you believe in luck?
There are 2 answers to this.
Okay.
You know, why I say I do believe that there is some kind of luck which gives sometimes surprising results for you, which you are not anticipating, but you somehow still succeed. I do believe in that.
Okay.
But what I also want to say is, if someone has an exam or someone has a job to do, I refrain best of luck to him, but I, say best wishes, or because there is also one side of me, the hard pushing person, which says luck is for losers. But I do believe luck is an element that plays a very surprise role in your daily life. Not daily life, but at least it gives you a surprise element there.
Maybe if I put it in percentage terms, what you're saying is it has to be 98% effort plus your grit plus your passion for whatever you do, but to meet or to make you achieve certain things, the 2% of luck is necessary. Is if I would put it that way?
Yes, exactly. And this is some things that you cannot control, and it comes from an outside environment, which is somehow influencing this fact. So luck is something that you cannot create, but the environment does it for you, and you get super benefit out of it. So I mean, the lottery is a luck. There is someone who wins a lottery, he gets a lot of money or gets rich, but there is no hard work behind. So if I am not well, Kaustubh, I say, Kaustubh, can you please bring me a ticket of a lottery? You go to the shop and you fill up a number for me. And I say, oh, Kaustubh, why did you fill up the number? I wanted to put the number. It does not change the probability of me winning still. It's a number, it's a chance, it's a luck. If it strikes, amazing. I believe someone will be lucky in such a case. But there cannot be any hard work or study to win from such a luck or a lottery.
Agreed. I can't even debate with you, because I kind of relate to where you're coming from, and I also almost would have put my thought as well in the same fashion. Once again, thank you, Nachiket, for spending time on this podcast, and thank you for explaining all the crux of the book and not really giving everything away, but the way it has helped you, the way it has influenced you, in your daily life. Thank you for sharing your personal life examples as well. And guys, I hope you were able to understand why this book is counterintuitive, why this book is not what it is titled to be, but why and why you should pick it up. Once again, thank you very much, Nachiket. Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Looking forward to meet you again for yet another episode on the Book Talkies. Ciao.